I'm going to look into 1 Samuel 5 as I promised you, but before I do, I'm gonna let me show you uh, the menu of 1 Samuel which I prepared. You'll find this at Gilgal's Biblewheel.blogspot.ca /2014 /06 /1Samuel.html. and and here's a chart. I laid the book of 1 Samuel into their proper uh, spokes. I mean, over here I display them. I display each chapter according to its spoke, and it's a diagram. Whereas over here I lay them out as a table where you have first spoke, the first letter Aleph, the first chapter of 1 Samuel, and 1 Samuel 23, which is the um, first book of the second cycle. I illustrate here. This is uh, First Samuel 1, and 1 represents the first cycle, the small letter 1. And here we have 1 Samuel 1, and 2 represents the second cycle, and so on. You have spoke 2, Beit, represented by the letter Beit, and what's in common between 1 Samuel 2 and other books related to the second spoke. For example, you see in the inner wheels of Matthew 2, there's a mentioning of Bethlehem. Bethlehem means house of bread, and actually the second letter Beit means house, and so on up until the 22nd book, which I haven't looked into it yet. 1 Samuel 22. And since the 1 Samuel ends with the 31st chapter, this is probably something worth looking into, because 1 Samuel 9 was the introduction of Saul, and 1 Samuel 31 was the death of Saul. And it is also compared with the 9th chapter of Judges, where God put an evil spirit between Abimelech and the men of Shechem. Abimelech commits suicide. And okay, this is 1 Samuel 5 on my blog, Gilgal's Biblewheel.blogspot.ca /2013 /11 1Samuel 5.html. And we're gonna compare 2 Kings 5 with 1 Samuel 5. And this was the text I was comparing on the diagram. 1 Samuel 5 and 2 Kings 5 have identical themes of the house of idols, as well as the fifth book of the second cycle, Daniel. But the contrast is that Naaman was a servant to his king. But the contrast is that Naaman, as a servant to his king, is sometimes obliged to go to the house of Rimmon, an idol, and ask God to pardon him this obligation. And 1 Samuel 5 verses 1, 2, and 8 say the following: And the Philistines took the ark of God and brought it from Ebenezer unto Ashdod. When the Philistines took the ark of God, they brought it into the house of Dagon and set it by Dagon. They sent therefore and gathered all the lords of the Philistines unto them, and said, What shall we do with the ark of the God of Israel? And they answered, Let the ark of the God of Israel be carried about to Gath, unto Gath. And they carried the ark of the God of Israel about thither. And jumping on to for 2 Kings 5. And the Syrians had gone out by companies and had brought away captive out of the land of Israel a little maid, and she waited on Naaman's wife. In verse 18, in this thing, this is Naaman speaking to Elisha. In this thing the Lord pardon thy servant, that when my master goeth into the house of Rimmon to worship there, and he leaneth on my hand, and I bow myself in the house of Rimmon, when I bow down myself in the house of Rimmon, the Lord pardon thy servant in this thing. So Naaman, as an obligation, as a duty, um, he uh, he goes with his master, the king Ben Hadad, to the house of Rimmon. He has no choice. He's serving his master, even though he believes in the God of Israel, who healed him from his leprosy, and but because of the obligation, he's not gonna resign from his post, from his job, but instead. He asked the Lord would pardon this thing, and um, and that he took I believe he took a bit of a soil from Israel and brought it to as with him. I don't remember where, but uh, either in the house of Rimmon or in his house maybe, as a reminder. Uh, Let me go into detail in a couple of seconds. I'm gonna look at 2 Kings 5 in detail, but let me point you the fifth book from Isaiah, the fifth prophetic book from Isaiah, which is also Daniel is also the fifth book of the second cycle, which is the 27th book overall, and which I'll show you in the diagram as well later on. But you'll see the things that are in common. You see the highlighting uh, that are in common. In the third year of the reign of Jehoiakim, king of Judah, came Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, unto Jerusalem and besieged it. And the Lord gave Jehoiakim of Judah into his hand with part of the vessels of the house of God, which he carried into the land of Shinar to the house of his God, and he brought the vessels into the treasure house of his God. So you see what's in common with Daniel 1. Daniel 1 has a few things in common with 1 Samuel 5. Whereas in 1 Samuel 5, it talks about the Ark of the Covenant that was carried to uh, to Ashdod at first. In Daniel 1, it was the vessels of the house of God, but there's no Ark of the Covenant. And as well as the people of Judea, they were carried into Babylon.